as we normally do here on the first Sunday of every month, or at least try to, I'm going to give a few announcements, and Martha will introduce the readers, and I'll have Bob come up and give a brief history on the patch. Anyways, my name is Ian O'Hara, and Martha and the late Peter Duffy and myself put this great program together. And here's a few announcements. SunLit Festival, March 4th through the 13th. We have a lot of information at the front desk. You are here at the Blueberry Patch, so I'm going to give you a few updates on what's going on. The 7th is going to be Mike featuring House of I. 11th is going to be the Open Jam hosted by Troy. The 19th is going to be Uncle John's Band, which is a special showing for $10. And then the 22nd, the usual day, is going to be Shoeless Soul and Rojama. April 1st, of course, is going to be an open mic, and April 3rd will be our literary afternoon here at the Patch, featuring Gulfport's very own poet laureate, Peter Hargitay. Anyways, also want to mention that we have our book on sale, Sharing to Survive, Surviving to Share, the Blueberry Patch Volume 1, Edition 2. We have bottled water for $1. Also, we have 2 locations for restrooms, one at the back here, and then one along the yellow brick road towards the small house. And now I'm going to introduce you to the former president of the Blueberry Board of Trustees, Bob Fechner, who's going to give us a brief history.
All right, well, good afternoon, everybody, and I want to welcome you to the Blueberry Patch. I know a lot of people are asking questions about the patch, so I figured it'd be a good idea just to let you know a little bit about how this got started. Dallas, our founder, there's a picture of him right there, started the Blueberry Patch on 7/7/77. Dallas was really into numerology, so he decided to start on that day. It was actually started originally in South St. Pete, and it moved to this location in '94. So it was actually out. This is about the 4th location. It was in South St. Pete. He was out at St. Pete Beach for a while. Then he actually was in a storage unit over here behind this place for a while, and then saw this place, and it came up for sale. So it's been here since 1994, and this was Dallas's backyard. So he just created all this in his backyard. He used to live in the house. About 5-6 years ago, his health started to fail a little bit. He had to go into a nursing home, and so Survival at the Blueberry Patch was created. It was actually created before we went into the nursing home, but we became a 501c3 about 3 years ago. So we're officially a charitable organization. We have a board of directors that runs the property, that keeps everything going here at the Blueberry Patch, and so we're happy to be able to keep Dallas's dream alive, and that's really what it's all about. Dallas was really focused on art, literature, and music, and that's what we focus on. As you can see around you, recycled art and keeping things out of the landfill is really what's a main emphasis of the Blueberry Patch. And then the literature, which Duffy was kind of one of the original Patch Pals. He knew Dallas from the beginning in '77. He passed away about a little bit before Dallas did, maybe about a year before Dallas did. And then, so we're fortunate to have Martha and Ian keep the Blueberry Patch literary ink tank going. Is that yours?
No, it's an Amber Alert. Everybody's phones.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right. And so, anyway, we have events on the 1st, 7th, 11th, and 22nd of every month. It doesn't really matter what day of the week it falls on. We have the 1st is always an open mic, which we feature new artists. Usually it's music. We do occasionally get spoken word on our open mics, but it's usually music, and we encourage on the 1st, especially new artists, either new to the Blueberry Patch or new to the stage, to come up. As you see, our slogan on the stage up here is "Be Fearless on this stage." And we encourage all of you that are here today, they're going to be reading, to do the same thing. And then on the 7th, we have our open mic, another open mic, where we also feature an artist for about an hour. The 11th is an open jam, where we have a host and we bring multiple musicians in and just create Who knows what you're going to get? Lots of times it's wonderful. Sometimes it's a train wreck. Most of the time it's great. And then the 22nd is always a band. We do occasionally have a bonus night, like the 19th. We're having Uncle John's band, so where we'll have an extra night on a weekend and we'll feature a band. And it's really just all about keeping Dallas's dream alive. And so we appreciate you guys coming out to the open literary mic today. We're hoping to get that again. And again, thanks to Martha and Ian and all the Ink Tank people for keeping this going.
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Martha, and we've got a great lineup of people today. And we've got Frances Reilly, who's going to be our first reader. And so, if you could come on up and join us, she's going to be reading a variety of poetry and prose. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that
Thank
mic loud enough for everybody? Do we need to turn it up? No, it's not.
Okay. Oh, it sounds loud here, so I expect you can hear me out there. Yes, good. You notice I have an accent. I am actually British. Yes. I'm actually born in the UK. I live in Canada. I've lived there for 40 years. And I've been a snowbird here in Gulfport for 5 years now. So I speak in British English, Canadian English, and American English. And sometimes they just cross. But I wanted to read for you just a few of the recent poems, which tend to be more about here in Florida, and I think that's obvious to be really able to relate to. And of course they're road poems because we drive here and back. So, and I think that's a great metaphor for the wonderful country of America, which we really enjoy being in. On our way down, we usually stop in, I have to say this right, it's not St. Augustine, it's St. Augustine, right? That's the American way of saying it. And we went to the planetarium there in the, where they have the Fountain of Life, Fountain of Youth. They have a little museum there, and they have a recreation of a American Indian village, and they have a planetarium. And in the planetarium, we noted that the way that Ponce de Leon came over to America was to follow the North Star at a 30-degree angle. And every night they went out with the sextant and they measured the 30-degree angle, and they finally landed in St. Augustine. And so I was very inspired by that, and I wrote this poem. The North Star brims with promise. The inky sea, the ship's bow, pen nib-like, writes. The arc of this narrative follows the 30-degree rule, guided by a star to shores unknown. The poem is hidden beneath the waves. In the depths, the night current steers, swirling clouds conceal meaning in secret places during this sacred night sea journey. Meanwhile, we slumbered, curled, unmindful of the changing outer skies, dreaming in a paradox of journeying east to seek west. The golden mistake, nevertheless, our sails unfurl. A thing deep within our nature sets us on a trail of fearless desiring. The visible world, sea foam and ship labors, floating on a sea of light, vulnerability and loss. The bow breaks the silence and the nib sharpens as we leave the safety of what's time-honored. For more difficult, timeless world, this poem embarks on new beginnings. Archiving all that survives that many shrink from. It's too grim to leave our belonging. A destiny is guided by gods and demons who have the upper hand. Old landscapes are swallowed up in the aging ship's wake until we arrive at a new vision in a new world. That bright star has delivered us to its sacred purpose, and downwind of fragrant flora, Florida beckons. This pen inks in the service of all the disparate parts, writes into wholeness all that is imperfect yet true, eagerly anticipates the undiscovered and nameless, whether it is fact, fiction, fantasy, or metaphor. Thank you. another one, more contemporary journey. The heart is a garden. Well, we love when we come down here, or the tropics, obviously. On the road between north and south, once the giant glacial river joined Arctic to tropics. Arteries of an ancient Mississippi delta ebbed into bayous. Shells, silt, and sand shaped our land. We crossed between ocean and sky, and downwind again lies fragrant Florida. Everyone comes here from a long way off. The throats of the hibiscus and oleander call out. In the company of crickets, palms dance. The jasmine contents the garden with perfume, and the sky is pink and orange, older as the day ends. High above the earth, where all is quiet, ospreys gyre, where crowds loudly congress, while below, geckos hide under leaves made juicy by sultry storms, a nest of roots, the wet soil, the vain grasses. A gardener's heart cleaves to what is. No need to impose order of the mental kind. Love nature, she'll show the path. God's world is alive here, and always delivers us home to our heart. Thank you. That's how we feel every time we come down. Every 6 months, we feel like we've come home. Cool, yeah. Well, another place we love driving through is Appalachia in West Virginia. And we were staying at a place called Bluefield. And as we were driving, I just made notes in my iPad. And here's the poem of that road trip. Appalachia Blues. Airs of blue chicory flowers call us to Bluefield on the road where alchemy begins. Along deep and cool waters where the Bluestone River flows. The bluestone fades from deep blue to light grey over time. The winter trees like bristles on paintbrushes. The sun and rain rinses chimneys' walls. Wet sky, paper wet, the clouds, a soft grey blanket tones. The cataract of rain dropping. Winter's transpiring sun tinges white gold, while blue veins trace the dampened rocks. Starkly, 3 white crosses appear on a remote hillside, mark graves of unnamed miners. The sign says Craigerry, Irish from the faraway Wicklow rocks. Mountain music blues played on pipes. This dirge is for exile and longings. We follow the magenta line of the GPS. Blue rest sign alerts us to Bluestone Canyon. Nature chisels an outcrop, aiming at a vanishing point, defying man's craven hewing downwards into hidden rock. We stop at Denny's for breakfast. A hairy-gnarled old owl of a woman serves. The bearded pioneer man munches his grits silently. Comforting blue flame coal fires burn, coal for the world. Up and down the mountainside, an ancient forest unclothed for winter, we touch the face of the old woman, kneading the ochre ridges. At night, under the blue hot cold star, old meanings are reawakened. Virginia, virgin mountain queen, nurtures with her mountain mama breasts in this blue place where the gods once lived. Thank you. Oops. Okay, so I was born in England at the end of the Second World War. My dad was in the RAF, my mum was in the RAF, and my mum happened to be billeted at my father's family's farm near the RAF station. And I grew up there, but I couldn't wait to leave. I found the class system oppressive, and I actually couldn't get an education. And then I was thinking about that, and the seminal influence about our generation, I expect that's all of us, was the Beatles there. And I happened to be living in Lancashire when the Beatles were up and coming, so I actually did go down in 1960-61, when I was 15 and 16, into Liverpool to listen to the music. Not just them, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Herman's Hermits. They were all doing the rounds of the clubs, and they were not known, unknown. But as the Beatles got known, I detected there was a theme of meaning that spoke directly to my disillusionment and alienation, and a lot of other young people. And it was particularly for young women like myself who had nothing left to lose, to leave. So I wrote a poem about that, and I've included Beatles lyrics in it, and also Scouse accent, which I'll slow down as I say it, because it's not an easy accent to hear. And it's called Leaving Liverpool, 1961. From Birkenhead to Scouse Land, the ferry churns the Mersey, them liver birds squawking, adorned in bright blue glitter Irish shadow, peroxided hair, screaming vulgarities about last night's shag above the wind. It's a dirty story of a dirty man. Beneath the blue suburban skies, dreary rows of monogram council houses, boys form packs on bikes, weaving along the sidewalks. Hang on a mo, ooh, she had it off. Delivering a knuckle sandwich to anyone who dares commit aggro, circling around the docks, the back alleys, the old warehouses, slave trade shame and point of embarkation of the Irish weary of misery, dreams abandoned and left behind, others fail on unfriendly shores, yet more are sacrificed for $1 an hour wage. No future there. Ah, look at all the lonely people. Where do they all come from? Above the throng a lament, nowhere man, are you listening? Now sniffing the air for a whiff of a chip butty, that's not fab enough for a posh twat, yet more. Posh twat, protected by a silver spoon, none of it, this life makes the news of the world unless she's that kind of girl who makes the news of the world. 'Cause the only way out is for a girl is got to be good looking. That's how a girl can see how the other half lives. Squinting, trying desperately to focus on something real. Shut up, you. The boys have their soccer, but what's the girl to do? Nothing is real. Nothing to get hung up about. Now clenching fists. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all good children go to heaven. Willing the word to come alive. Say the word I'm thinking. Have you heard the word is love? A ghost of reassurance floats past. Don't you know it's going to be all right? How come leaving is so hard? So many came and went with the tide. Too many lives wasted. Yeah, dream on, why don't you? Betraying the Horlick's happy family dream. She's leaving home after living alone for so many years. She stands at the corner of Hope Street, looks out over the water. Yes, I'm going to be a star. Thank you. Okay, so Peter Hargety, who's in the audience here, was leading a workshop for poets last year, and he challenged us to write something that we'd never told anyone before. And so I dug deep. I thought I'd pretty much, done all that, but there was more, as usual. So one of the writers I really like is Sylvia Plath, and she did pave the way for a lot of us women, especially the ones of us who had issues with dads. And so I sat down and I wrote my dad poem in the Sylvia Plath tradition. In fact, I even took one of her titles. I'm going to read it, and then you're going to be a bit aghast at what's in it, but you can see I'm okay, right? So, all right. Okay. It's called 4 Fathom 5. 4 Fathom 5, my father's lies, these are the names I'm called. I dive these crimson waters nightly, the moonlit bloodstained waves. In his bones I read the sign. What strangeness transforms after death? A photograph develops in silver moon, but the wound remains undeveloped, cannot be transformed, is a dream. Your black pearl eyes gaze lifelessly, the sea floor of shifting debris, only chaos. My sister drank an entire ocean and still can't find herself. Primitive eye of a maniac, all detail is rendered off-center. I refuse to inherit anything from this eye other than my own fierce drama of desire. The theatre of your cruelty, a torture, I played with painted pensive face, wore a mask of the dead, though you broke others, never me. The teeth of a dark secret gnaws, my mother is lost at sea, a tidal wave of suffering drowns her undying quest for love. Tormented ghost of an idealized woman, her fate rises out of a dream, shoots out like an arrow, pierces me, breathless, she punctuates, placing a period. This chapter is now and ended, ding dong, hear the bells toll. My harms are thrown back to the sea, and what strengths I have now are my own. My story told, I am free. That's the first time I read it in public. So it's actually out there now. One of the reasons for this difficult childhood was that my father was part gypsy, Romany. And rather than admit to that and deal with all the stigma that comes with that, because we're the scapegoats of Europe, he invented a whole other story about his life, and which I've since discovered was a total lie. So I have been going back into my Romany background, and I've been writing poetry, and this is the first ones I wrote. The blacksmith's hammer drums molten iron, the horses gallop through my veins, the fiddle and harp strings vibrate, marry staccato rhythm to fiery strange, my gypsy heart beats a flamenco dance. The waveform passes into my swollen heart, flows patiently by my history, power and desire, holds all season of my passions at bay, no pretense, as nothing can find the same way again in a world made uncertain by what's mystic and fierce. The true gypsy heart raps the ancestors' gate. Dick and Shoon, watch and listen, the old ones say. Dick and Shoon, watch and listen, the old ones say. Now hear tell, gypsies follow their Tacho Romany drum. Now hear tell, gypsies follow their Tacho Romany drum, the true heart path before anything else, over the hills and back. The heart glows, a secret unrest gnaws at its roots, follows the Romany patrons, signs that guide me on. So penned I to my Romany heart more signs, a bird whistle signalling looming danger, tickling a trout is a poacher's friend, and duckering, fortune-telling, dear Romany chai, out of the dark a Corley girl, a gypsy girl, wild with untamed life, her heart gifted of seeing all things, lights her tent, bending to the old ways the road, the drum beats with her biological blood, roving, a heart's desire puts the world at her feet. And got time for one more? Yep. This is lovely. We, like all Floridians, took a cruise for the first time just last month, and I was, as a poet, standing on the deck looking at a full moon called the Wolf Moon, and I just was so amazed at the experience of being on an ocean, big wide ocean with a big wide sky with the wolf moon, that I sat down and wrote this, and this will be the last one. Silver wolf moon. The silver wolf moon, her warm breath stirred the stars, the sea sighed with desire. The ship swayed and nosed its way towards America's lower lip. The sea flowed, reflected and spread the moon's silver glow. The darkness drank deeply. The sea, her shoulders wet with tears, craving fondness and softness. White caps, waving and unfurling, let fly a wet kiss. The moon, shyly veiled by a cloud, salvages a sea hushed and fathomed. Darkness drew the moon downwards, licking the hollows between the waves, an intimate secret kept. Deep, silent and mighty, circles quiver in the air, between the moon and the sea, enchanting and deepening the night. Thank you. done.
Tijan, Tijan, this dream's where you belong. Your golden journey now has just begun.